Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the all-new 2022 Toyota Tundra. Now, I know that I already made a video about this, but we have some new updates on the 2022 Tundra, so I thought that it makes sense to make a follow-up video to go over these updates because it's really exciting. Now, with all that being said, in the first part of this video, I'm going to go over some of the information I already went over in the first video as a quick introduction, and then we're going to dive into the updates that we've received from Toyota. And yeah, with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. So in the first video, we talked about how there's going to be new exterior styling with the Tundra, and this styling has kind of been confirmed at this point by Toyota, where we now have the images they released, especially on the TRD Pro. Looks absolutely fantastic. I love it. I know it kind of resembles the Chevy Heavy Duties, but I still think it's a really good looking truck. Aside from that, we also talked about the suspension changes with the 5-link coil suspension. So again, they're most likely getting rid of the leaf springs and going for a 5-link coil system, so then it'll ride a lot smoother. Payload and towing capacity will be pretty much unchanged, if not a little bit higher, but again, we'll have that smoother ride. And then aside from that, we talked about how the interior was going to be minorly updated, but that's the really big change that we'll kind of get into a little bit later with this video. And then aside from the minor changes we talked about with the interior, when we went to the powertrain, we talked about how with the Tundra, it'll most likely have a hybrid powertrain as an option, but then also they're going to put the twin-turbo V6 that's in the new Land Cruiser that's paired to a 10-speed automatic in the new Tundra. So over 400 horsepower, around 500 pound-feet of torque. Really strong powertrain for a truck. And yeah, that was kind of the initial stuff that we talked about with the Tundra because we didn't really have a whole lot of information. Now let's get into the new info. So the new info with the Tundra is extremely exciting. So like I said, Toyota pretty much confirmed the exterior styling because someone leaked some images of the Tundra, and then Toyota was like, well, since it's leaked already, we'll release the images officially. And so now we know what the outside will look like. And like I said, I really like the new exterior styling. Now, we still don't have strong confirmation on the suspension with the truck, but again, that's most likely what they're going to do. The test mules that people have seen are rocking that system, and so again, it sounds like that's what they're going to do from a suspension standpoint. And then from the powertrain perspective, this is again where I've kind of gotten a little bit more confirmation. So it really does sound like they're going to offer a hybrid powertrain because they're going towards electrification with their whole lineup, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the only powertrain. Again, they're most likely going to use that twin-turbo V6 that is in the new Land Cruiser that's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And I try to get as much as I could out of my friends that work at Toyota dealerships, but they really can't say all that much other than they're really excited for the new Tundra. Like, they said this is the most exciting vehicle that they've seen in such a long time being released by Toyota. But I guess that they kind of gave me a hint, wink, wink that yes, that powertrain will most likely be used. So that, again, is a little bit more on the confirmed side. Now, the most exciting thing has to do with the interior. So Toyota released an image of part of the dash, so we can see the upper dash. And you guys can see it's got some speakers for the sound system, which look really cool. And then we've got an all-new 12-inch infotainment system. Yes, 12-inch infotainment system to compete with Ram and to compete with Ford. And it looks like the kind of gauge cluster, at least what we can partially see, and I'll throw up this image so you guys can see it, is changed as well. But the thing that's the most interesting is Toyota kind of released with a statement that they're really stepping up their game with the interior, which is extremely exciting because that was one of the biggest complaints with the Tundra is this truck is super reliable. It looks pretty cool on the outside, but the interior feels so dated, especially compared to other trucks, and Toyota has listened, and so it sounds like they're going to really update the interior, not only from a technological standpoint, but from an aesthetic standpoint. And so expect this truck to have nicer interior materials. Again, we already know for sure it's going to have a 12-inch screen, but then expect the whole gauge cluster setup to look significantly more modern with the Tundra as well. And then on top of that, right, the Tundra did already have a bunch of safety tech, so expect that to still be carried into this new Tundra. And there might be some new different faucets of safety technology as well added to it. But yeah, that's pretty much what we've had confirmed that I'm super excited for. Again, the interior being a lot nicer is really exciting. And then also the fact that they are going to use more modern powertrains is really exciting as well, because it's just really bringing the Tundra into the current truck world so it can be a lot more competitive, not only from a reliability standpoint, because the Tundra's always been known for that, but from a technology standpoint, interior standpoint, and then powertrain standpoint as well. And now let's get into what this means for the truck world. So this new Tundra actually is poised to really shake things up in the truck world, and it's for a number of reasons. So first off, again, it's an all-new Tundra. It's the first time we've had a new Tundra in quite some time, and it's on a completely new platform that they're also going to use for some of their other vehicles like the new 4Runner. So that's really exciting. Again, just completely new from the ground up, and so that's just always going to be a huge shakeup in the truck world. But on top of that, it sounds like Toyota is really listening to people this time. So obviously they're going to stay true to their roots. They're going to make sure that this is a reliable vehicle, because that is just ingrained in the Toyota brand at this point. If they release an unreliable vehicle, it is just going to be an absolute press nightmare for them. So they'll still make sure the Tundra is really reliable. But on top of that, again, they're making sure that this is a really modern truck. So they're changing the exterior styling to make it look more modern. They're giving it a more modern powertrain, and then they're giving it a more modern interior from a technology standpoint, but then also from a material standpoint. And so this is really going to contend with Ram and with Ford. I know I'm kind of leaving Chevy out, but they have to update their interiors just a little bit for them to really be able to be on the same level as Ford and Ram right now from an interior perspective. And so this is going to be really interesting to see what this does for buyers, because right now a lot of people will purchase Ram and Ford over Toyota because obviously they have like the stigma where they only want to buy American brands. But aside from that stigma, there's a huge thing where they're like, okay, I want to have a modern vehicle, I want to have a modern transmission, I want to have a modern interior, I want to have modern technology. The Tundra is cool, it's really reliable, but it doesn't feel modern, and so I'll give up some of that reliability to have a more modern vehicle. But now with this new Tundra, if the technology is just as good as what you get in the Ford and the Ram, and on top of that it's going to have the Toyota reliability and the interior is going to be just as nice, then it's going to be a lot harder for people to choose between the brands. And I think it's actually going to pull quite a bit of people over to Toyota, especially from the Ford side of things. Now the reason I say that is because Ford already sells a majority of their trucks with a twin turbo V6, and so it's not too much of a stretch to ask someone to go from a twin turbo V6 to another twin turbo V6. On the Ram side of things, right, a lot of people like to purchase the Rams because it still has a naturally aspirated V8. Now I understand that you can get the 5.0 from Ford, but they barely sell any of those. Like, you go to a Ford dealership, well, not right now because like there's no trucks on the ground, but in the past, right before this whole like supply issue thing, if you went to a Ford dealership, you would literally see like 100 EcoBoosts, and then you'd have like one 5.0 on the lot, right? And so the majority of the new Fords sold have the EcoBoost engine in it. And so I think that it'll pull actually quite a few people from Ford, because they'll be able to get a truck that has 5-link coil suspension, so it's going to ride really smooth. And the Ford still uses the leaf springs, but it rides really smooth. But then also it's going to have a really nice updated interior, nice interior materials. It's going to have an engine that is just as powerful, just as capable as what the Ford has. And literally, it's not the same exact engine, but it's the same setup. It's a twin turbo V6 with a 10-speed automatic, right? It literally is pretty much, it's not the same engine, powertrain, right? It's different, but at the same time, that's what the Ford has too. And so then people are going to be like, okay, well, do I want to go for the Ford or do I want to go for the Toyota that, again, is known for reliability, which is very important for people that are purchasing a truck? And so I really think this could shake things up, especially for Ford buyers, and a little bit on the Ram side of things. But I don't think nearly as much, because a lot of people, again, will go for the Ram brand because they want that Hemi V8 and they're all about the V8 life. They don't want anything to have to do with turbochargers or V6s or anything of that likeness. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think is going to change because this new Tundra. I'm really excited, and it's pretty crazy the details that Toyota is releasing. And like I said, when I talk to my friends that work at Toyota dealerships, they tell me that this is the vehicle that they are most excited for, and they haven't seen anything this crazy in such a long time come out of Toyota. So I mean, I feel like that says quite a bit. Now let's kind of sum things up for our video on the new Tundra, and again, the changes that we have received so far. And if you guys want me to keep making videos on the Tundra as we receive more updates, then just let me know in the comment section down below. As always, if you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. And then again, if you do feel like my videos are of value to you, I'm going to include a link to my Patreon in the description down below. I'd really appreciate your support over there. I'll see you guys.